So I haven't actually heard it myself. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is okay with both of these picks, and he likes both of the first-round picks. So that's obviously something that's going to get talked about a lot because the Packers did not go wide receiver. The streak continues, barring a late trade up. It will be another year of no first-round wide receiver. This now marks 20 years since they last took a receiver in the first round. That being said, I really like Devonte Wyatt. I think he's really good. So, like, I actually think this is probably the right move. So I know that it's a meme of, oh, they never go wide receiver. I didn't love the Quay Walker pick personally. I just wasn't a huge fan of Walker. I think Wyatt's good. Like, I like Wyatt a lot as a player. He's someone who, Tampa Bay traded their pick. I'm a Buccaneers fan. I would have loved for us to get Wyatt if we kept our pick. So him going here to the Packers, he's going to make their defense better. Let's get into the film and talk about what I like about him so much, and then we'll kind of talk about the, team building strategy and all that fun stuff. So let's start off with a play like this. So that's where he is on the field, and it's kind of funny, when I started watching tape with Wyatt, really when I found out about him, I first started watching tape about Jordan Davis because he's the guy getting more attention. But when I started watching, his tape, Wyatt, I was like, who's this 95 guy? And I was like, oh, that's the other hyped up prospect, Devonte Wyatt, because he kept jumping out on film. And here's an example of him just jumping out on film. The way this play works is, so, again, I've highlighted where he is on the field. And really what's great about him is that first step. So there's a left guard going to be trying to block him one-on-one, emphasis on trying, because again, he's just so explosive right when the play begins. Watch as 68 for Kentucky is going to try to, get him to the side. At the second that play began, you notice that Wyatt was already going to be able to beat him off the line. But the issue is because Wyatt is so explosive, at this point, it's just going to be so difficult to really knock him out of the way in any way. Wyatt gets over and makes the tackle. I mean, the reality is the highlight reel for Devonte Wyatt is a long one. He makes a ton of just really spectacular plays, and when he wins, he really wins. His wins are impressive. Something like this is another interesting one, where it's going to be, so he's going to get double teamed on this play by the center and right guard. Again, I've circled him. That's where he is on the field. I also feel like you probably just deserve some extra credit just in general for being a guy who gets double teamed on that Georgia defensive line. That alone is impressive. But anyways, watch what's going to happen here. First, watch him just drive back that guard. Again, this is moving the offensive line backwards, right? He just starts that starting point for the running back. When the running back has to make his decision, he has to make it a lot earlier now because Wyatt was able to drive back the guard so well. And he has just that incredible power. There is no hole for the running back to get through. He does not get through any hole, does not get, gets a little bit past the line of scrimmage, I guess, gets a yard, but isn't able to get much. And a big chunk of that was because of what Wyatt was able to do. And again, just with that first step, that initial play of being able to get the hand placement he wants, first step and power, it's really fun to watch. This play is going to be another one where it's a center one-on-one blocking Wyatt. So this is a favorable matchup because, it's hard for a center to get your hands up as quickly. You have one hand that you have to, snap the ball with. So by just the nature of the sport, your hands are going to be a half second behind everyone else's. But still, watch Wyatt just drive him back. Once again, he gets that initial, it's funny. I mean, you look at this play, this seemingly, I feel like, just is a lot of these plays that you watch where this Georgia defensive line that has so many great players, on so many of these plays, if you pause it just 1 second into the play, Wyatt is by far and away the one most far over, as in away from his own end zone. So you see him just being a yard ahead of everyone else. That just seemed like what he did on so many of these plays. Again, he also gets over and is able to help make the tackle on top of that. So he's going to drive his blocker back, make the running back have to make their decision quicker, and sometimes even make the tackles along with it. So he does a lot. As for the pass rushing game, it's not like he does nothing here either. I mean, this is going to be an example of him doing a great job. He's going up one-on-one against the right guard, and really just watch what he's going to be able to do here. Watch him be able to, again, use his hands. Like, that's something that's so impressive is his hands on top of this. So he doesn't just have power. He doesn't just have explosiveness. He does have both of those things, but his technique is really good. Now, he doesn't just win with technique. If he just won with technique, that'd be maybe a little bit concerning, just given the fact that he is a little bit older, and that's still my biggest concern about him is he was, 23 when he was out there, which, it's a little bit on the older side, and that's kind of when he had his breakout year. You would like to see a guy maybe not necessarily have the breakout year at that age. Maybe at 21 you have your breakout year, but he wins with so many other ways that I'm not that concerned about it. One more play, just, again, a fun play, kind of a lot of what we talked about already, but you know what, they're fun, so this is kind of what the last play I'll leave you with is something like this. He is going up one-on-one against an Alabama center, and so kind of what I talked about earlier. He's going to use his power to win. He does have a bit of a favorable matchup going up against the center, but watch what happens. As you see, he just completely takes that center out of the play altogether. There was well blocked on the left side of the field, so that actually still was a pretty good run, but he did his job very well. And again, that's all you care about when watching film, right? I don't care about, I think a lot of people will say, isn't it concerning he was on a good Georgia defensive line? Well, no, because I just evaluate him and was he doing his job? And you don't, pay attention to the other guys, and watching film is a great way to kind of isolate that. And when you do isolate it, his stuff still looks really good. So again, if that is a concern you have, it doesn't really show up on tape. I think the reality is, listen, could you have gotten George Pickens? Could you have gotten Sky Moore? Yeah, you could have made that decision. Can you get other guys like an Alec Pierce in round 2 that probably is on the same tier as those guys, in my opinion, and in many others? I think yes. The reality is the history of the NFL shows drafting receivers in rounds 2 and 3 is the correct strategy. They don't have a horrible hit rate in those. In fact, the hit rate tends to be pretty similar in rounds 2 and 3 than they are in rounds 1. Now, you could argue the superstars have a just a slightly bigger I feel like bigger home run percentage in round 1 than rounds 2 and 3, but not by as much as you would think either. So waiting around to get a wide receiver, I think, is the correct decision given the way the board has fallen. There was some chance of is Chris Olave going to fall? And if Chris Olave fell, then okay, I'm sure they would have drafted him. But teams were so determined to get a wide receiver that I think the Packers just felt like they would be reaching if they drafted one, which I can't really hate that decision. Again, everyone loves to say you should go wide receiver. Well, there has to be a wide receiver that makes sense to go to, and there isn't right now. So I just think this is the smart move. I think this is the correct move. Is it the pick I would have made about the Packers? It's certainly one of them. It would have been on the short list of things that I would have considered, so I can't really hate on this whatsoever at this point. I think that really their options were trade up for a receiver or don't trade up for a receiver, and once they didn't, this is kind of what they had to do, is go after a guy like Quay Walker, who I wasn't as, I'd rather have Devin Lloyd, but if they liked him, okay. And then this move, I think the other issue here is they got a really good player here with this draft selection. I just think that Devonte Wyatt is, in my opinion, he was my favorite interior defensive lineman. He can pass rush way better, like a Jordan Davis. Wyatt is just a much more complete version of that, although just not quite as athletic, but pretty close. So, I don't know. I like this move from the Packers. I'm going to defend this move because I like it. So what do you guys think of Devonte Wyatt here? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.